Good morning. Today's video is how to attract wealth when you have no money. That is the title for today's video. So I get lots of questions about this. How do you attract money when you don't have money? And we're going to talk about that today. I'm actually going to start by sharing with you guys the story of where I was at financially before I learned about the law of attraction, and 4 mindset shifts that catapulted me forward very quickly from a negative place to a positive place with money. Okay. Now, before I get into that story, a couple quick hellos. I see, we've got some supers here. Thank you, Happy Daisy, for the super sticker. I appreciate you. I've got another one here from Adrian. Adrian says, I love your content. Look forward to your lives every Sunday. You're truly thankful and appreciative that you hold space for you and the other YouTube watchers. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Adrian. Thank you. Some other quick hellos here before I get going. Hello, Abundant Queen. Natalie is here. Peace is here. Luis is here. Island Joy is here. Lozad is here. Dominique is here. My lovely assistant Mary is here. Carla's here. ASMR Tingle Pink is here. Guillaume is here. Hello. I see lots of people signing in now on Instagram. Nice to see you guys on Instagram. Hello. And as you guys are coming in, go ahead and like the video. If you have questions about today's topic or about manifesting in general, feel free to go ahead and drop those in the chat, because as per usual, I'll be stopping as I'm talking to answer some of those for you guys. Okay. But again, today's topic is how to attract wealth when you have no money, okay? Very common question that I get from people in the chat, either people who are in a negative place with money, where they just don't have a lot, maybe they're paycheck to paycheck, or maybe they feel like they're one step above homeless, okay? I get questions from people in these situations. How do I attract money in this situation? Or maybe it's not that dire for you, but you feel like you're down on your luck with money and things aren't going in the way that you want them to. That's what we're going to be talking about. How do you turn it around? Okay, so to kick this off, I want to go way back in time when I first learned about the law of attraction. So I've mentioned before on my channel that I was not born with money. Okay, I didn't live a super destitute life, right? But I did not have all of the fancy trappings. I wasn't used to that growing up. And when I learned about the law of attraction, it didn't happen until around the time of me being about 30 years of age. All right. And during this time was actually a very financially not so good time for me. So at this time, I had recently had my second child. So I have two children. One was a toddler and one was a baby. And I was working as a high school teacher, and I didn't make very much money doing that. Okay. And in addition to that, this was around the time of the housing bubble crisis. So this is way, way back around 2008, 9, 10, that era. And so the home that I lived in at the time was underwater, meaning it had lost a significant amount of value. So we had a mortgage on that property that was for, I think it was about $235,000. Wasn't a great mortgage, but the home value had actually tanked. And so the home value was at about $73,000. And so when you calculate everything in, a home is usually an asset. But in that situation, the home had become a liability. So it was about $100,000 in debt at the time that this was going on. And in addition to that, because I lived in an area that had been hit very hard by this housing crisis, a lot of the houses around me started to become abandoned, or people were putting renters in, or had all kinds of crime that started entering the area, into the area because of this situation. So next door to me, I actually had a home where the owners had left, and I guess they gave it to some renters who were drug addicts. And these people, I'm pretty sure they were out stealing stuff, because they would have garage sales every weekend where they were selling things, and these people looked really sketched out on drugs. So we thought that they might be stealing things and then selling them so that they could get drug money. And so this was the situation I was in. I was a young mother. I did not have a lot of money coming in. I was in an underwater home that I couldn't get out of. And I had two young children sitting next to this crime house. Okay. That's where I was at. And so when I learned about the law of attraction, like a lot of people, it was very important for me to figure out money because I wanted to get myself in a better living situation for me and especially for my children. Now, during this time, I was very fortunate that I wandered across the law of attraction and I understood kind of the principles pretty early on. It kind of made sense to me. And there were four things that I did that shifted my mindset at that time that resulted in a very dramatic shift. So within just a few months, I was able to secure the resources to begin building a new home in a gated community. Not that far away, but in a different zip code with less crime. And within a year, my family had moved into that new home and it started a whole new trajectory of abundance. And so these mindset shifts that I'm going to talk about today are very, very powerful. And they do not require you to have anything. You can be in your current circumstances. You can be making less money than you want. You can be in debt. You could be paycheck to paycheck. It doesn't matter where you are. You can use these mindset shifts anywhere that you are to get the tide turning in your favor to attract money. So if you haven't yet, grab a pen and paper, write these down. If you can't stay until the end of the live, make sure and bookmark it so you come back and see all four of these. But we're going to get going with these four mindset shifts in just a moment. All right. So if you guys have not yet, like the video. And if you have any questions about manifesting, feel free to go ahead and drop them into the chat because I will be pausing as usual to answer some of these as I'm going along. Let's grab one real quick before we move forward. Peace has a question today. Peace says, how can I better cope with the pressure of not having enough financially? I'm becoming increasingly serious about this issue. Okay, well, the good news is we're going to do the mindset shifts, but I'll try to give you some additional information for this question as well. All right. One of the big things to understand about attracting money is that attracting money, this doesn't sound correct right now, okay? But attracting money is easy and it's effortless and it's fun, okay? When it feels serious, we are attending to it in a way that is inaccurate. So the idea that money is hard to get is actually flawed logic. And it's flawed logic that we're taught that you have to work hard, you got to scrounge to get out of debt, you got to, really put your nose to the grindstone to get ahead. But that's actually not the way that abundance attraction works. Abundance attraction is lighthearted and it is easy. So before we get into these mindset shifts piece, what I want you to consider moving forward is that when it feels like it's stressful and it's hard, that's always a sign that it's time to go take it easy and that there's no benefit in me worrying about this. All right. That's one of the big things is that a lot of people think that there is some kind of inherent value in worrying about their finances. The opposite is actually true. The more you worry about it, the worse the situation gets. And so we really want to adopt this mindset that whenever we find ourselves thinking seriously about something, money or anything else we want to manifest, that's a good sign for us to try and take things a little bit easier. Focus on the idea that this could resolve itself in any way. It's no big deal. Things could work out. I don't need to worry about this. I'm going to let the universe take care of it. All right. Now, I know that that's easier said than done when you're stressed about it, but that's the overarching thing. And like I said, we'll get into 4 mindset things that you can do today that will help. Okay. All right. Let's jump in with the first one. All right, guys, so here's the first mindset shift. And again, you can do all of these things no matter where you are. So it does not matter where you're at financially. The first one has to do with where the focus is on, with money coming in and money going out. All right. You want to place as much focus as you can on money coming in and as little focus as you can on money going out. Okay. This is something that people who are currently struggling with money have in reverse. And I know I did. Okay, so back when I used to struggle with money, I did the exact opposite. And this is one of the first things that I changed that turned the tide for me. So back then, when I was struggling, right, I was always focused on money going out. How much is this going to cost? How am I going to pay this bill? Looking at every bill, every invoice, every payment got scrutiny from me. If I went through to go get gas, I would look at how much is gas going to cost. Okay. I was looking at everything going out. Now, the money coming in, I paid just about zero attention to. I worked as a school teacher. I got paid twice monthly, and it went in direct deposit, and I never even paid attention to it until it was time to pay bills. So I paid zero attention to money coming in and a ton of attention to money going out. Now, this is a problem when it comes to attracting money because your reality is going to be built up on your focus. So if you're constantly looking at, I have to spend this, I don't want to pay that, my kid needs new shoes, I got to pay for these back to school things, I got to da, 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 da. Your focus is on money out, money out, money out. And so when you have that focus, you get stuck in a loop that a lot of people are on, where they perhaps attract money into their reality, but as soon as it comes in, it's out. As soon as it comes in, it's out. And so when you're constantly focused on money going out, it becomes very hard to accumulate money. Okay? So what you want to do instead is you want to reduce your focus on money going out and instead focus on money coming in. So you want to pay attention to every time money comes into your account. You want to pay attention to every time you get extra points on your credit card. You want to pay attention to every time perhaps there's some dividends that come in on an investment. You want to pay attention to every time somebody buys you something or gifts you something. You want to pay attention to every time you go to the grocery store and you go to buy something and all of a sudden it's a buy one, get one and you get an extra one for free. You want to notice extra coming in because if you start to notice money coming in and surplus, now the focus is on money coming in and you can actually start to accumulate chunks of money. That's actually how it works. A lot of people think that what they need to do is scrutinize, itemize, budget in order to save money. But how many of you have tried doing that? And it only gets you so far before another expense comes and wipes it out. This is why that kind of advice is not making people rich, because when you sit there and scrutinize and budget everything, you are actually focused on money going out. Now, I do want to mention, this isn't to say that you just go spending things all willy-nilly. You don't need to do that, okay? I don't want you guys to work outside of your belief structures, but here's a good way to start. If you know you're going to spend money on something anyway, just spend it without any focus on it, okay? So for instance, let's say that you need to go buy gas. You know you're going to buy that gas. That's what's happening. You're rolled up and you're paying for it. What is the point of looking at how much it costs? What is the point of looking at the receipt? And certainly, what's the point of complaining about the price of gas? Absolutely none. So when I go pay for gas, and when I did this when I first started, I trained myself not to even look at the price. So I would just put in the gas pump and just pay for it without any attention whatsoever to the money going out. I also did the same thing. I started doing the same thing with groceries. So I know I'm going to pay for them. So why do I need to sit there and look at the total? Just run the credit card. As time progressed, I started doing it with more stuff. So if I went out to dinner with my family, back in the day when the waitress brought the check, I would sit there and read through the check. Did she get all the prices right? How much did all this cost? How much money is going out? Then suddenly I'm like, you know what? That doesn't work. Just give her the credit card. Give her the credit card and just pay for it. All right. So you want to start to train yourself to pay less attention to money going out and more attention to money coming in. This is how you start to magnetize more money into your reality. Remember, it is not about how much you work. It is not about how much you save. It's not about any of that. It's about your energy. What are you focused on is what you attract. So you want to become laser focused on money coming in and as little focus as possible on money going out. And that's something that anyone can do no matter where they are. So this is one thing that you can do that does not require you to have money to attract money. Okay, so no matter where you are, focus on money in as much as possible and money out as little as possible. That's the first mindset shift. But of course, we do have others. And yeah, if you guys have not yet, please make sure to go ahead and subscribe. Subscribe to me on YouTube if you enjoy law of attraction content, because I do lives like this every single week and I love it when you guys come along. Also go ahead and turn on your notifications so that you are notified when I go live. I am also always live on Facebook and also on Instagram. So if you have not yet followed me on those platforms, please do so as well. In addition to that, if any of you are new to my work or have not yet taken my manifesting test, please make sure to go ahead and do that. Okay, so if you want to know for sure that you really are the creator of your reality and that everything is really your decision on how things work out in your life, you can take a very quick 5-minute test that I've created. It is free and it's at manifestingtest.com. Again, that's manifestingtest.com. Now, this test will show you how to put something out and watch it come back. So you get your own evidence that you are the creator of your reality. So if you haven't taken that yet, go to manifestingtest.com. All right. Got some more coming in here in the chat. See what we got going on. Tony asks, how do you keep your belief in success in your industry when the entire industry tells you it's impossible? In my case, it's about being too old to make it in music. Good question. Really good question. Okay. So, and this is very common where you may feel that the way something is set up, you don't fit into the typical bucket. Okay, so how am I going to make it in this industry because I don't meet these certain requirements I think are there? Now, when we feel that there are requirements, what it means is there's a limitation that's on that, right? And limitations all exist in the mind, and limitations can all be corrected. So right now there's a belief structure that says only young people are going to make it in music. Only young people are going to make it in music. What I would be trying to do in this situation is to reframe it where my age is actually an asset rather than a liability. Okay, so this is a trick that I like to play a lot. When things look like they're not working out, how do I flip it to where this is an advantage? So I might be thinking things along the lines of, well, there's lots of young people out there that are doing music, but not a lot of old people. So that would actually make me stand out. That would make me someone who stands out from the crowd. And people who perform at the highest level are usually ones that stand out. So it's a feature that could actually help me if I saw it as an asset. I might also look at it in terms of, well, I'm older, so I have way more experience. I have a lot more hours and on practice, a lot more hours and on music theory or whatever it is that you've done to learn your skill or learn your craft. Noticing that that puts you way ahead musically than maybe somebody who's 19 or 20 years old. So this is kind of the trick, is you want to switch the liability to the asset. And this reminds me of something that just happened. So my husband and I were sitting on the couch earlier, we were talking, and my daughter is the drum major this year in the marching band. So good for her. Okay, she's musical like yourself. Now, evidently she's upset because her marching band director is fighting with the principal so that they won't go to away games. So usually the marching band, they go to the home games and they also go to the away games. Well, the band director is not happy with the principal and he's threatening to not go to any away games. All right. So instead of 10 games this year, she may only go to 5. So she's not happy about that. Now, as her mother, energetically, I want to help the situation. But if I get in there and I say, okay, this is a problem, She doesn't get to go. This isn't fair. I don't like this limitation. I don't like this rule. What will happen is, I know for sure that will stay in focus. So when my husband and I were talking on the couch, I'm like, all right, the way that I want to think about this is, all right, she's a senior in high school. If she doesn't go to away games, well, now she's got more time. Maybe she'll have some more fun her senior year. Maybe she won't get as stressed out. Maybe she'll be more rested. You know what? Now she has a side job too. It'd be nice if she has a little bit more time. Maybe it's just going to be an easier schedule for her. So now I'm looking at taking those away games as an asset rather than a liability. This is what you always want to do when you feel like something's working against you, is you want to find a way to reframe it that it's working out for me. All right, that was a long-winded answer, Tony, but I hope you like it. Oh, we got another super here. Hello, Stella. Thank you for the super. Stella says, hi, beautiful Andrea. I am wondering how I can change my partner to be more responsible financially. I make more than him, and it feels like I am being drained. I am pretty PO'd at this point. Thanks. Okay. Okay, this is a common question. How do I deal with my partner who's of a different abundance mindset than myself? All right. Again, like I just mentioned, we want to look at liabilities as assets. So right now, the way that we're perceiving your partner is that your partner is a drain on you and that your partner is holding you back. But what you can do is we can flip the perception that his behavior has actually made me more abundant. Okay? And in this way, what will happen is I'll stop pushing against what he's doing and he'll probably stop doing it. So for instance, let's say that I was making a whole bunch of money and my husband was spending all the money. All right? But through his spending all the money, I feel more motivated to attract. I feel like I need to be abundant. I need to be abundant. And so therefore I focus more abundantly and I attract more resources, not in spite of what he's doing, but because of what he's doing. Okay. And I actually know that this can be true for a lot of people. A lot of people become a lot more abundant once they have children. Why? Because their kids are, draining them all of their money. So they have to attract more. And they adopt that mindset that I have to attract. I need to attract. So it's not can I attract, it's I need to attract. So I might start looking at your partner that way, that his behavior has actually made you focus more abundantly and actually made you better at attracting money. This way, you can use what he's doing to fuel you, and you'll stop pushing against it. And the more you stop pushing against it, the more that behavior is going to die down. Hope that's helpful. All right, guys, again, today's topic is how to attract money, how to attract wealth when you have no money. All right, the first thing we talked about was focusing on money in rather than money out. You can do that at any time, all right? Do it now. Here's the next one. You want to appreciate money, but you do not want to put it on a pedestal, okay? You want to appreciate money, but you do not want to put it on a pedestal. So the way I want you guys to look at money, I want you to look at it as if it's a child that you love, or a pet that you love, or a plant that you love. All right? I want you to look at money as if you're the one in charge, okay? And it's the one beneath you. That's the way I want you to look at it. Now, this is a very important thing to understand, because most people look at money, they put it on a pedestal, and they look at money as being above them. And when you look at money as being above you, what that indicates is money is my master. Money is in charge of me, okay? When you look up to money and put it as a pedestal, what you're saying energetically, again, is money is my master. Money is in charge of me. And so what will happen is your reality will come into focus in such a way that it always feels like money gets to decide what you do. Do you get to go on vacation? Well, what does the money say? Do you get to take time off? What does the money say? Do you get to go hang out with your friends this weekend? Well, what does the money say? And you become bound to money. Okay. It also indicates that money is always outside of your reach. And so we do not want to be putting that definition on money. Instead, the message that we want to put onto money is that I am the master. Now, the type of way I want you guys to think about this is, and I always use the king and the queen because I think that it's really great abundant imagery for you guys to step into. I want you to think of yourself as like the benevolent king or queen, and money is one of your subjects. Okay? It's one of your subjects. So you appreciate it, you love it, you care for it, you're glad it's there. And because of that, it works on your behalf. Okay? This is a very important thing to understand. Okay? So one thing that you can do is I want you guys to start, as much as you can, I want you guys to start choosing things to do without consulting money first. Okay. So this was a big turnaround for me that happened during this time period when I was going through this shift from this housing crisis into the more abundant lifestyle. This was something that I started to do with vacations. Okay. And you can start it with vacations or you could start it with something smaller. But before this, I always looked at money to make decisions. Okay. Does the money say I can do this or not? Well, I was learning about the law of attraction, and we had a few friends at the time, and they wanted to go on a quick little weekend getaway in Orlando, which is right down the road. And so this wasn't like a super expensive vacation, but it was like a quick little, staycation at a hotel resort. And ordinarily, I would have looked to see how much is this going to cost. I would have looked up how much is the accommodation. I would have looked at how much was in my bank account. But instead, I knew it was what I wanted to do, and I knew I had to be the master of money. So I just agreed, we're going to go ahead and go on this before I did any of the financial involvement with it. Now, the reason why this is important is if you start managing your life without consulting money, money will show up to help you because you're the master in charge. And it was a wild thing that happened, which was that we went ahead and agreed that we were going to go on this vacation, this quick little vacation. And I think the total amount for the room for the weekend was like $500, something to that effect. But in that interim of time where we agreed and we were going to go, I suddenly attracted a windfall of money in for about $1,000. And I noticed that every time I've done this, where I've agreed to go ahead and do something, money will show up to help me. But if I do it the opposite way, where I ask, is the money there to support it? Is the money there to support it? A lot of times it ends up costing me more, or I just end up having to come out of pocket for it. So I'm telling you guys this because, again, a lot of times people want to check in with the money. And when you check in with the money, you make money your master. You want to see yourself. I'm the one making the choices in my life. I decide where I go, what I wear, who I talk to, how long I work for, etc. These are the things I decide. As many of those things as you can do without consulting money, the more the message is, I'm the one in charge of my life. Money is just one of the subjects in my reality that responds to me, nothing more. Okay. It's a very important mindset shift that you want to make. Now, you do want to have a sense of appreciation. You don't want to look down on money. You don't want to look down. The money is the root of all evil. Money is a bad thing. No, you want to appreciate it because what you appreciate grows, but you want to look at it as if you're the one in charge and you are a loving leader to money. I hope that makes sense. And again, that's something that you guys can do at any time to start to switch things around so money starts coming into you rather than you always having to chase it. If money is the one in charge, you're the one that always has to chase it. You're the one that has to do what it tells you to do. I hope that makes sense. Etimetu, what do you think about Donald Trump? Well, I think he's doing a good job stirring up desire in other people. He's definitely making a lot of people want more for the world, isn't he? Is it Friendship Day? Bhagavad Diaries. Happy Friendship Day to you. I didn't know it was Friendship Day. Yeah, if you guys have questions, go ahead and throw them into the chat. I'm going to answer some of these as I'm going along. Oh, quick business before I forget. I did put this at the top of the chat on YouTube. I have got a new program that I'm working on right now. It won't be for all of you, but a lot of people who are in sales or in business have been asking me questions on how do you manifest sales. So if you're in a commission-based job, or maybe you're a real estate agent, or maybe you run your own business or you're an entrepreneur, if you've been stressed out about getting money in the door, if you feel like you're lacking confidence in closing sales or in attracting customers and clients, and that this is something that you'd like to be able to do easily and effortlessly so that you know you're going to be successful in your work month to month to month, even though the money that you make varies month to month, you can know with certainty that money is always going to be coming in. I am working on a program right now called Sales Magnet. So this is how you apply the law of attraction and manifesting into attracting customers, clients, and sales. So that program should be launched next month, probably late next month, but I do have the link open now where you guys can sign up to get product launch details on that program when it goes live, as well as a 50% off coupon for the first week that it is live. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and sign up. The link should be in the description of the videos. On Instagram, the link should be in the link tree in my bio. And again, that program is called Sales Magnet. All right, guys, again, today we're talking about how to attract wealth when you have no money or starting from zero. Okay, so the first suggestion is you focus on money in, stop focusing on money out. You got to flip it, okay? Most people are doing the exact opposite, and that's why money is always going out. Got to stop it. All right, the next one is you want to appreciate money, but don't put it on a pedestal. You are the creator of your reality, okay? Money is one of your subjects. You want to look at it with appreciation, but you want to understand at all times money responds to you, not the other way around. So stop making money your decision making. Stop letting money make your decision making for you. Make your decisions, decide what you're going to do. Money will work in your favor to support you. Okay, here's the next one. Widen your definition of abundance. This is very important, okay? You need to widen your definition of abundance. Most people reduce abundance down to money, okay? Meaning, if there's not $5 million in the bank today, I don't feel abundant, okay? We want to shift that and change that because abundance actually means a multitude of things. So the definition that I really like for abundance is one that comes from Bashar, if you know who that is. And his definition is money is the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. I'm sorry, abundance is the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. I really like that definition because that's actually fairly accurate. If you're able to do everything you need to do, you are abundant, right? And so when you look at that definition, it really opens up what abundance actually is. Abundance can be money. It can also be support from other people. It can be other forms of resources. It can be status. It can be recognition. It can be love. It could be all kinds of things. So again, if we look at our king or our queen, okay, so we always want to compare ourselves to a king or a queen. A king or a queen, they have money, but they also have subjects. They also have respect. They also have land. They also have food. They also have people in their court. They have all this stuff. They have lots of things that make them abundant. Money is just one thing. So this is a mindset shift that you want to make is you want to start to view your abundance through a much wider lens. Now, the reason why that this is so helpful and important is that when you widen your lens on abundance, you can firmly step into the idea that I am abundant now. So even if you're paycheck to paycheck, or even if you are in debt, and the money doesn't say you're abundant, all of these other things still can say that you're abundant. So I want you guys to widen your definition of abundance. Now, this was something that I started to shift back in this time that made a huge difference for me. Before I understood this, I looked at the number in the bank as being my definition of abundance. And because the number in the bank wasn't what I wanted it to be, I always felt poor. I always felt like I didn't have enough. And because of that, I never attracted more. But during this time, I started to look at other things as being definitions of abundance. So one thing that I did, and any of you guys can do this right now, is at that time, I started to go around my home and I started to look at all the things that I had. And I started to notice, I'm abundant because I have this. I'm abundant because I have that. Right? So I have air conditioning. I have food in my fridge. I have this computer. I have this cell phone. I have these clothes in my closet. I have these shoes that I can wear. I have. And this is something that you guys may hear me talk about from time to time on the channel, is you want to go from the idea of lack into the idea of have. The more you can look around your reality and say, I have this, I have this, I have this, I have this, the more you start to notice in the moment, you are abundant. Now, reality always attracts to you in your present moment. It does not matter what the dollar amount is in the bank. What matters is how I feel. If I feel walking around my home, looking at all the things that I have, that, oh, I have a lot of things, I have a lot of things, you attract more things, including money into the bank. The problem that I was having before this, and most people have when it comes to attraction, is that they may have all the same things, but they're not looking at them. They're looking at the lack in the bank account, and they're noticing that. And so they attract more lack in the bank account. You don't want to be doing that. You want to focus on what you have, what resources you have, so that they start to grow. So you definitely want to widen your definition of abundance. It may seem at first like you're kidding yourself, but you will notice that if you do that exercise I just mentioned, walk around your home and really sit there and think about, appreciate everything that you have, you're going to start to feel lighter. You're going to start to feel better, and you will see something positive happen. So whenever I do this exercise, reality suddenly starts to shift and things start to get better. Things start to manifest into place. People start being nicer. I start finding things I forgot about. All of a sudden, luck shifts into my favor because I'm focused on having. So if you're feeling down on your luck, go do that exercise. It is very, very helpful. Ooh, that's a good one. Guillaume says, for Tony's question, remember Susan Boyle from Britain's Got Talent? She found instant success at 48 years of age. Yes, she did. That's a good example. ASMR Tingled Pink, just relocated to another state. Lots of money out, but none coming in. How not to panic when no idea when or how more will come in. No job or steady source of income. Thank you. Okay. I might look at this as like, I don't know, the image of an Easter egg hunt's coming to mind. So I'm going to use that one for this. So you're in a new place. Okay. New place. It's like you're in a new level in a video game. All right. I was on level 42 and now I'm on level 43. Okay. You're on a new level in your reality and you haven't yet mapped it and found all the treasure that's in it, but it's there. So what I would be looking at this as, this is the psychological shift you want to be making. And oh, how am I going to make this happen? Instead, it's, oh, where are all the Easter eggs in this location? Does that make sense? Well, a lot of times when people go into these situations, they're very stressed out. How am I going to find the job? How's this going to work out? Instead, this is a new location. I haven't yet even found all the stuff yet. So what that gets you starting to do is starting to look for the money. Okay, this is one of the big tricks too. And I didn't have this listed for today's, so I'm glad you kind of brought this up here. People who attract money look for it. Look for it. And this is something I've learned as my abundance has grown. I've attracted more people into my life who are quite abundant, and they all do this. They look for money. They look for it. Okay. So what I would be doing is looking for evidence that money is around. So, here's an example. Here's an example I was even going to talk about, and I just glossed over it. Okay. So I went in to go get a tooth worked on. I mentioned this a while back that I had a tooth that I was having issues with. And when the first time I went into the dentist like scares me and says, "Oh, it's going to be $5,000." Okay, well, $5,000. I made peace with it. And I was like, all right, you know what? Sometimes money goes out, money comes back. And I didn't worry about it. And as a result, when I went in to go see the specialist, the price tag on this tooth suddenly became $1,500. It was supposed to be $5, but it was $1,500. I'm like, oh, this is great. Well, I actually went to go have the tooth worked on a couple days ago. Now, I'm in the habit of looking for money. And I do it to the point where even in situations like this, where money is going out, I'm still looking for the money. So if I'm going to spend money, how's money coming back? And I realized, oh, okay. Well, we've got money on an HSA account, so I could just put it on that. It's like I didn't even have to spend it. So that's good. I had to spend the money anyway. I guess we call that, at least I'm using it, so that's a plus. Okay, that's one thing. And then I go in and I'm talking to them like, oh, you know what? It's an out-of-network thing, so I'm actually going to get some money back. So I'm going to get a check back from my insurance company. So I just made a couple hundred on that. So money's coming in. And then I went to go pay for it. And for whatever reason, the HSA card wasn't working. So I had to use my credit card. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This is great. Because if I use my credit card, now I get points for this treatment before they give me my rebate check for it. And I was thinking about how do I make money off of this the whole time? Whereas most people, if they're told that they need to pay $5,000 for a tooth, they freak out. I don't want to spend the $5,000. And then when they go to see the specialist, it actually ends up being more money than they thought it was going to be. And I know because that's the way I used to look at it. So when you're spending money, how might I make money back on this? How might money be here? Always be looking for the money and you'll notice more starts to show up. That's what you want to be doing. I hope that makes sense. Great question. Aura, thank you for the super. Aura asks, hi, everyone wants to invest time and money on me and my project. The only problem is that money never comes directly into my pockets. Any insight? You're perceiving it as their money. Yeah, this is a big one. So this will happen. So if you guys are getting money from other people, from investors, maybe a spouse, maybe your parents, whenever money comes to you, what you want to say is, I manifested this money. This is money I manifested. You want to take possession of the money. As long as you keep saying, well, it's the investor's money, it's their money, what ends up happening is it always feels like it's their money. And you don't actually start to attract money that really genuinely feels like it was money for you or for your pockets. So when people invest in your project, you want to perceive that as I manifested that money. I'm a good manifester of money. Take ownership of it. Not, oh, they were helping me out. No, I manifested this money. Okay? That's the shift you want to make for that one. Good question. All right, guys. Today, again, we're talking about how to attract wealth when you have no money. Again, first and foremost, count money in. Do not count money out. Okay, especially the stuff you're already going to spend. You're already buying gas. Why are we looking at the price? Just stop it. Okay. Pay attention to what's coming in, and what's coming in will get bigger. Okay, whatever you focus on more, you get more of. Second one is appreciate money. Do not put it on a pedestal. Look at money like a child or a pet or a plant that you love. It's yours. Okay, you're the one in charge of it and you love it. Not it's in charge of me and I got to do what it says. That's a big shift right there. You also want to widen your definition of abundance. Money is just one thing. So this is very helpful, particularly if you have no money right now or you feel like you have no money. Go through and figure out all the other types of abundance that you've got. Do you have your health? Do you have food in the fridge? Do you have a roof over your head? Do you have a car in the driveway? Do you have access to mass transportation? Do you have family? Do you have friends? What do you have? Okay. The things that you have are all forms of abundance. And he or she that focuses on having gets to have more. That's the rule. Okay. The next one. All right. Look up, not down. Oh, sorry. Look down, not up. Look down, not up. All right. So this one is kind of like when I was talking about money. You kind of want to look down on money. But this has nothing to do with money, though, in particular. It has to do with your perception of the people around you. All right. Here's the problem most people are having who are struggling to attract money is that they are looking at people who are more wealthy than them, and they're comparing themselves to those people. So if I'm sitting here comparing myself to a Jeff Bezos, okay, I'm going to feel pretty not abundant. All right. And that's the problem most people are having, is that they're looking at maybe their neighbors who make more money, or their friends who make more money, or their relatives who make more money, and they're comparing themselves as being lower than. Remember, I always want you guys to keep that king or that queen idea in your mind. You are the king or the queen of your reality. You are the one in charge. You are the one at the top of the pyramid. And that's the way you want to keep it, okay? When you can perceive yourself as being at the top, that means you're in the most abundant position. So what you want to be doing is, if you are going to compare yourself to anybody, you want to compare down, not up. Meaning, you want to look out into reality and notice, well, I'm doing better than them. Now, I know that may sound toxic, but it actually helps and works because it puts you in a position of appreciating just how abundant you are. Do not compare yourself against the billionaires and the trillionaires, okay? You want to compare yourself against people that you're doing better than. So this was a big shift that I made during this transition where I was living in this house next to these drug dealers. Oh my gosh. At the time, before I learned about the law of attraction, I was comparing myself against wealthier people. But in this particular situation, I used my present reality to work for me in this favor. So instead of getting upset about the drug dealers next door, I started to compare myself as, well, at least I'm making more money than them. I'm doing better than them. Thank God I'm in a more abundant situation than they are. And in that moment, I used those people to actually elevate my sense of abundance. I hope that makes sense. Now, this is not about talking down about people or putting people in their place. No, it's about appreciating how abundant you are compared to those who are not as abundant as you are. Interesting thing about the universe, it is infinite, okay? Meaning infinitely abundant and infinitely in lack. So no matter where you are, when you look up, it gets higher and higher and higher. And when you look down, it gets lower and lower and lower. So when you compare yourself up, it's always a moving target. And so this causes people to get in this conundrum where they keep trying to chase money, but it never feels like enough because they're always comparing themselves up here. And they stifle their growth for doing that. Instead, what you want to be doing is look at the crevasse below and say, wow, I must be truly abundant. I am so much higher than what's beneath me. That perception puts you at the top of the pyramid. Now, I do talk on the channel from time to time about the importance of being around wealthy people. It is helpful to be around wealthy people. It is helpful because it helps you adopt their way of thinking. It helps you get in resonance with the way that they are. But it's very important that if you are around people who make more money than you, that you don't look at them through a lens of comparison. Instead, you look at them through a lens of assistance. They are helping me. They are an investment for me. They are a form of my abundance, not they are over me. Okay. So if somebody who's very wealthy comes into my reality, I don't sit there and think, wow, she's making so much more than me. Instead, I think, wow, I just attracted a big resource that is supporting me. Hope that makes sense. If at any time I'm feeling not that abundant, it helps to look down and say, well, okay, thank goodness I live where I live. Thank goodness I have the things that I have, because there's a lot of people who aren't as fortunate as I am. That keeps you in that state of appreciation. And you can do that anywhere, okay? Louise, thank you for the super. Louise says, hi, Andrea, talking about less fortunate people around me. I've been picturing them being prosperous and abundant, but I see that their mindset, convictions, preconceptions, resentments get in their own way. Any other way to help them energy-wise? You know, I think that's a normal thing, is that when you do see the old way of thinking, you're naturally going to notice, okay, that's getting in the way. But what can be helpful, I think, is understanding that where they're at is assisting them somehow. Okay, so just like I found myself in a situation where I was living in a really crummy environment, in an unsafe environment, in a lot of debt, not making a lot of money. Okay. And I had limited ways of thinking. There's something about that. Like, I might never have learned about the law of attraction if it hadn't gotten that bad for me. And so that's the way I like to kind of look at things. When you see people that are struggling, instead of trying to change them, okay, start to notice that what they're doing is serving them in some way. They're obviously trying to learn this lesson. And sometimes we bang around doing it the wrong way until we figure out how to clear the level and move up. Okay. The big thing is with people is they can figure it out. They too are the creators of their reality. They don't need me to fix them. I'm a creator, I can do it. They're a creator, they can do it. The more you say that about people, they can handle it, the more they will be able to handle it. So the flawed logic that most of us have is that it's our job to fix. If there's a problem with somebody, they need my assistance. But if I feel that they need my assistance, what I'm saying to my reality is, this person has a problem. This person has a problem. And so they stay stuck in their problem. So just like I mentioned way back at the beginning, we always want to look at the liability as the asset. It may look like what they're doing right now is a liability, but maybe it's actually working out for them in the long run. That's the way we want to look at that. Hope that helps. Good question. (1111) Ellis, good morning. I had an offer from the company and requested for relocation of the workplace. However, the HR said that they still need time and asked me to wait again and again. What's the possibility? They will push back if you need it too much. Okay, so if you have an experience where there's something that you want and it keeps getting pushed back, it just means that I'm clinging to it too much and I need it to happen too much. So if I need it to happen, I'm introducing resistance, and that actually pushes it away. And so that's what keeps everyone in a holding pattern with certain dreams, is that they need it to happen. So instead you want to flip it. In your mind, if this doesn't happen and you don't get the relocation, why might it be working out for you? Why might it even be better if you don't relocate? If you can wrap your mind around that question and really sit there and think about, well, I would have this, and maybe this would happen, and maybe I wouldn't have to do that. I wouldn't have to move. I wouldn't have to spend that money. Maybe I'll sit there and go down the path with it. You'll notice that you start to feel at peace with it not happening. That's the point where it happens, is once you make peace with it not happening. Hope that helps. And it's always the case. Always the case. Picket Music. Hey, Andrea, a year ago, you advised me to really let go around my son's health. 12 months later, and about 90% of his catastrophic symptoms are completely healed up. Thank you. Well, congratulations. You've done a great job. Yeah. And let's do a little bit more. 90% of his temporary symptoms are completely healed up. Let's try that. 90% of his temporary symptoms. So if we label them temporary, they can go, right? Good job. Courtney asks, on a good day when money comes in from various sources, what can I do to amplify that and make more sales? Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, so one thing is that when you're on a roll, keep going. So if you're, I don't know what kind of sales you're doing, but let's say that your phone sales, okay? So let's say you're on the phone and you close. Am I showing my age when I do this? Do kids do this? You're on the phone and you're making sales. When you make one, a lot of times people will hang up the phone, they get excited, they go celebrate, let's go to the bar. Instead, I might make a few more calls. All right. So when you're on a roll, you're on a roll. I notice this like when I don't make phone sales, so sales come through my website. But when I get sales, I notice them when I check my email. That's where I see them come in. So on days where they're coming in, I check my email more. I just keep checking it again. There's another one. Check it again. There's another one. On days where it's kind of not seeming to go, then I won't check my email as much. Okay, so that's how I might work with it. On days when you're on a roll, keep going. On days where you're kind of out of it, take a break and come back when you feel good. Good question. Bob D, question. How can I attract extra clients in the next 10 days? Rent will be due, and my current schedule only has me halfway there. Okay. The big thing with the time delays is deciding if it doesn't happen, great. That's the big irony. We need to not make it an issue in order for it to come on time. So go down the path with it. If I don't make rent and this doesn't happen, worst case scenario, how is it still going to be okay? Okay, so I mention this from time to time because not because I have anything against Thailand. I think Thailand's lovely. I've never been. I've always wanted to go. Okay. But there was a book. It's called The 4-Day Work Week. I didn't read all of it. Okay. But one of the premises of the book is that you can live an abundant lifestyle on less. And so the author talks about how, you can always go move to a location that costs very little to live. So like you could always take what you're doing right now and go live in a place. If you're in America, a place like Thailand is a much lower cost of living. So I could take myself and locate me and my family to Thailand and live a very abundant lifestyle for that reason. Okay. The reason I'm mentioning this is if I'm ever in a position where I'm worried about money, it doesn't happen that much, but if I ever start stressing about sales or things going wrong, the first thing that I'll do is I'll tell myself, well, if it all blows up, I'm just going to cash in my chips and move to Thailand. I've always wanted to go to Thailand. Problem solved. Now, when I do that in the moment, what I'm saying is, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what happens. I'm good. You want to come up with a story like that because we don't want to have this attitude that I need it in 10 days or it's not going to work because now we're resistant. And again, like I mentioned before, the minute you do that, you push it back. So the game is always accept it as it is, accept the worst case scenario, decide that the worst case scenario is actually the best case scenario. That's how you flip the script energetically. That's how you alchemize that energy. And when you do that, you don't need the clients to come. Now all of a sudden they'll come and that you might even get more than you thought that you needed. Okay? Hope that helps. Good question. Speaking of clients, again, remember guys, got a new course that will be going live next month because as you can see in this live, I do get lots of questions from people who are trying to manifest sales, commissions, clients, etc. So if you are a business owner or if you work a commission job or maybe you're a real estate agent and you want to understand how to use the law of attraction to magnetize customers and clients into your business so that you can feel confident in your selling ability and you can feel confident in your earning ability, I have a course that will be going live next month called Sales Magnet. So if you are interested in learning about that course, go ahead and sign up for the product launch information because I'll be sending that out next month, along with a 50% off coupon code for the first week that it goes live. So if you're in any of those professions and you're interested, the link should be in the description of this video. If you are on Instagram, the link will be in the link tree in my bio. Again, that program is called Sales Magnet. In addition to that, again, if you are new to my work and you have not yet, please make sure to go ahead and take my manifesting test. So again, I have a very quick 5-minute test where you can prove the law of attraction to yourself, put something out and watch it come back. And to take that test, you can go to manifestingtest.com. Again, that's manifestingtest.com. The link is in all the same places for that one as well. If you haven't yet, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and like the video. And I will be back next Sunday. So I look forward to seeing you guys next Sunday, same place, same time. Thanks so much for coming along. Thanks for all the super chats and stickers. I appreciate you guys so much, and for all the great questions. And of course, I look forward to seeing